Antes de assistir, deixe seu like, inscreva-se no canal e ative o sino para receber os nossos vídeos. Muito obrigado.
Barcelona continues to be the attitude of Dembele. Said we saw Luis Suarez speaking out just a couple of days ago saying, look, it's a privilege to be a footballer. He needs to realise that. Is he going to feature in this game? And do you think he can get over all of this criticism coming from his own teammates?
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point, Dan. I think one of the things that's been so interesting over the last 10 days is that these have been public statements made by people around him. And I think that tells you that they must have reached a point where patience had worn thin, where they believe that either, right, I've had enough of this and I've got to say something, or whether there was actually a concerted decision, if you like, to say, look, one of the things we need to do now is to come out and say these things publicly to try and effectively kind of force him back into line. And I think there's an awareness at Barcelona that they have an incredibly talented player. This is a player who scored on 4 different occasions this season really key goals in winning games, and obviously starting, of course, with the Super Cup against Sevilla. He's been really, really important when they haven't played well. He's been far less important when they have played well, which is why I think this weekend he will feature, but probably off the bench. That would be my guess. And it's not just about him, it's partly systemic. You look at how much better Barcelona have played when they've reinforced the midfield rather than had 3 up front, and I think that already advises you to leave him out, at least maybe to leave him out of the starting 11, but to then draw on him late in the game. I think they want to get him back in. I think they want to try and, if you like, kind of channel him in the right direction. I think PK was right when he said, look, we've all done daft things when we were kids. I don't think anyone thinks that he's a particularly bad person. I don't think anyone thinks that he's massively off the rails. I think they just feel that he needs to kind of be focused a bit and to be guided a little bit, which I guess is natural from someone who comes from such a different environment, such a different type of club, and comes to Barcelona at such a young age as well.
We'll learn a lot about him, won't we, and how he reacts to
Yeah, and also, but if you're going to a big club, doesn't matter how young you are, if you're not turning up for training at the right time and you're not turning up for training on certain days and you're not towing the line, that's a massive problem. It's not just the club's responsibility, it's his responsibility. You must know, as if you're going to a top club, if you're playing any professional football, you've got to be a top-class player and you've got to behave in the right manner. And it's up to you and the people around you, not just the people at the club, the agent, his friends, they've got to get him into line.
I think what you see here is exactly how easy it is to fall off the rails when you do find yourself at a big club like Barcelona at a very young age. We spoke extensively about Sir Alex Ferguson and the class of '92 and how strict he was with them, and you see the results. At the same time, since that, you've seen any number of occasions where players have moved money, been heavily loaded as teenagers, moved to big clubs, and then kind of fell off the rails. And you're absolutely right. It's about who they have around them. Yeah. And if the club doesn't take an active role in controlling who's around these young players, these are the incidents you end up with.
You know the strangest thing about this is, normally when you've got a player who's stepping out of line, who's missing training, who's being late, usually that transfers onto the field, and they're just, you know, it takes them to get to rock bottom where they're being outed in public by the players in the club. Yeah. This guy's doing it. This guy's the opposite, because this guy on the field, as Sid's just told you, on 4 different occasions he scored important goals and he's actually contributing. That is not usual.
But eventually his standards will drop and drop and drop if you're not behaving yourself, if you're doing the wrong things off the field, if you're not turning up for training, if you're not training hard enough. Eventually that would take its toll.
Barca come into this off the back of that home defeat against Betis. It should be a belting tie, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it really should. And in the last few years, this has become bigger than ever. Obviously, it's become bigger than ever in part because Diego Simeone has kind of recovered Atletico Madrid and made them genuine contenders, but also because it feels like these two, at least in La Liga, have kind of dominated. I mean, bear in mind, we forget this, I think, sometimes too readily, that Atletico Madrid finished ahead of Real Madrid last season, that this is a side that if anyone pushed Barcelona, in the end, no one really did, it was them. This is a side who, of course, won the league title at Barcelona's Camp Nou Stadium back in 2014. And so yeah, this is seen as a big deal. And I think this year, perhaps increasingly so as well, because of the sense that Barcelona don't entirely convince. And so when you look at Atletico Madrid's possibilities of winning the league, you always kind of think to yourself, even now, even with everything that Atletico have achieved, you tend to think, well, it needs a season in which Madrid or Barcelona aren't quite at their best. And they've got that now. So this does feel like a season in which Atletico genuinely could contend for the title.
Barca's slight favourites to go into the bookies, Sid. Is that fair? Do you concur with that?
Well, I think this comes really from looking at the record, because curiously enough, while Simeone has made Atletico Madrid this great side, this side that competes for everything, he hasn't been able to beat Barcelona. Even the year when Atletico Madrid won the league with that Diego Godin goal, it was actually a draw at the Camp Nou, not an Atletico Madrid victory. And I think if you look at it from that point of view, you can see why Barcelona are slight favourites. And fundamentally, that tends to rest on Messi, because if you look at the results now, I'm going to get these in the wrong order, but this is basically the right run of results over the last 6 or 7 years. 2-1, 2-1, 1-0, 0-1, 2-1, 1-0, 0-1. And it's been like that all the way through. There hasn't been a victory by more than 1 goal, I think, in the league games.
Gran partido el que tendremos este fin de semana. Atlético de Madrid estará viendo las caras con el Fútbol Club Barcelona. Los blaugranas líderes con 24 unidades. A 1 punto se encuentra el conjunto que dirige el Cholo Simeone. Reacciones de cara a lo que va a ser el duelo de la semana.
Pues este año estamos teniendo más problemas en partidos que en teoría la gente piensa que son más sencillos, que luego no lo son. Que tienen su dificultad, y es verdad que también en partidos con rivales importantes, pues bueno, estamos dando una buena medida, y mañana pues bueno, es un rival, un candidato al título, el Atlético, como lo fue el año pasado. Los dos equipos tenemos una manera de jugar muy clara. Al final cada uno cumplirá el guión más o menos. Sabemos que ellos suelen empezar muy fuertes en el comienzo, tanto del primer como del segundo tiempo. Posiblemente nos hagan alguna presión más alta, pero ellos irán donde se han hecho fuertes, donde están más a gusto, donde están consiguiendo tantos éxitos, y nosotros iremos también pues a lo que nos da resultado a nosotros. Intentaremos dominar el juego, intentaremos ser precavidos en el sentido de que ellos tienen un gran contraataque, tienen grandes lanzadores, jugadores que corren muy bien al espacio, y eso lo tenemos que tener en cuenta. Luego, evidentemente, en situaciones de balón parado, que ellos son muy fuertes también, intentaremos aprovechar nuestras opciones, pues bueno, siendo fieles a lo que hacemos.
Atlético de Madrid que ha sufrido muchísimo en el tema de las lesiones de los centrales. Barça, líder de la primera división de España con 24 puntos, pero va a perder la cima si cae contra el Atlético, que tiene 23. Los colchoneros, la mejor defensiva de la temporada, no sorprende, y los blaugranas son el mejor ataque, tampoco sorprende.
Tras el fugaz y poco fructífero paso de Julen Lopetegui por el Real Madrid, Santiago Solari llegó a rescatar un equipo merengue sin pies ni cabeza. El director técnico ha hablado por primera vez desde que fue ratificado como dirigente por la directiva merengue, acto que por cierto no quiso el argentino, como es costumbre. Previo al duelo contra el Eibar, Solari agradeció a Florentino Pérez y mencionó su ilusión con mensajes cortos y puntuales. Reacciones.
No sé si cerrado, lo imagino muy intenso y muy aguerrido, porque es un equipo que tiene los conceptos muy claros, y cerrado no lo sé, porque es un equipo agresivo, que presiona muchísimo, así que bueno, seguramente será entretenido. Zidane es absolutamente incomparable con cualquiera. Zidane es una leyenda de este club. Zidane es una leyenda, como futbolista, porque tuvo un nivel fantástico, y fue un jugador exquisito, con el cual tuve la posibilidad y la suerte de compartir, ¿no? Y de sudar y de luchar juntos. Y como entrenador, yo no lo sé porque no tengo las estadísticas, pero probablemente sea el entrenador más exitoso de la historia del Real Madrid. Pero más allá de todo eso, yo a Zidane lo admiro como hombre, y lo admiro como ser humano. Y para mí no hay que compararlo con nadie, hay que dejarlo allí con él mismo, ¿no? En su grandeza, está solo.
Santiago Solari es el sexto entrenador en la historia del Real Madrid que gana sus 4 primeros partidos oficiales. El argentino se une a Pellegrini, Camacho, Boscov, Fernández y Girán.
Siempre nos da muchísimo gusto cuando tenemos en Sports Center a Alex Pareja, que se une justamente a esta edición. Alex, qué gusto platicar contigo. El duelo de la semana tiene que ser sí o sí Atlético de Madrid enfrentando a Fútbol Club Barcelona. Estilos muy distintos, además, entiende cada uno de los entrenadores de una manera muy particular el fútbol. ¿Qué estilo te imaginas tú que termine por imperar, por hacerse más fuerte en el cotejo de este fin de semana?
¿Qué tal, Toño? ¿Qué tal, Vane? Bueno, pues yo creo que este año tiene muchas opciones el Atlético de Madrid de romper esa racha negativa que arrastra ante el Barcelona en su estadio en Liga. Sí que es cierto que le derrotó en Liga de Campeones, pero en la Liga hace mucho tiempo que los del Cholo Simeone no ganan al Barcelona, y yo creo que este puede ser un buen año para que rompan esa racha, y me explico. El Barcelona sí que es cierto que es el equipo de siempre, el equipo reconocible este año, incluso un puntito más atrevido que el año pasado con ese regreso al 4-3-3, pero el hecho de que Messi vuelva al equipo implica una cierta desconexión, una cierta descoordinación en la presión, y lo vimos en el partido ante el Betis, esa derrota que ya casi nadie se acuerda, pero es que el Barcelona viene de caer derrotado 3-4 en casa con el Betis en el Camp Nou, y cuando Messi está en el terreno de juego, cuando Suárez está en el terreno de juego, la presión del Barcelona no es tan efectiva, y muchas veces el que lo corrige, sobre todo por ese sector derecho, es Ivan Rakitic, y el croata no va a estar en el Wanda Metropolitano porque está lesionado. Seguramente va a entrar Arturo Vidal, que va a entrar al campo, bueno, como los toros cuando los sueltan del burladero, va a intentar, comerse a sus rivales, y eso le puede proporcionar un puntito de anarquía al Barcelona.
Ela só anda de Ferrari, coisa igual nunca se viu. A bolsa dela da Chanel vale mais de 20 mil. Ela é celebridade, tem jatinho, tem iate, e nos finais de semana curte um funk na boate. O perfume dela é índio, mano, ela só porta grife, e as amiguinhas dela é só gata de elite. Camarote, área VIP, ela fica à vontade, manda descer a champanhe e faz festa de verdade. Ela é celebridade, tem jatinho, tem iate, e desfila de Ferrari. Ela é celebridade, ela adora uma night, ela só vive na vibe e desfila de Ferrari. Ela só anda de Ferrari, coisa igual nunca se viu. A bolsa dela da Chanel vale mais de 20 mil. Ela é celebridade, tem jatinho, tem iate, e nos finais de semana curte um funk na boate. O perfume dela é índio, mano, ela só porta grife, e as amiguinhas dela é só gata de elite. Camarote, área VIP, ela fica à vontade, manda descer a champanhe e faz festa de verdade. Ela é celebridade, tem jatinho, tem iate, e desfila de Ferrari. Ela é celebridade, ela adora uma night, ela só vive na vibe e desfila de Ferrari.